But yeah, Gamergate helped feminism. That's what you could take from this video.
And that's really the worst thing.
You know what I saw the other day.
I put too much wood on there.
It's all good. I'll be fine. But
Okay. I'm not.
if you want to do something about it, you can though.
So I can't
Do
really.
you want to switch?
Nah.
Okay.
Because it'll burn your leg hairs. At least I got jeans on.
Sure. I just missed it, but apparently for whatever reason, the guy who played Mike Myers in the early films was just signing autographs outside of like KJ's,
Really?
like 2 miles from where I live.
Like the
Mike Myers. Like
Okay,
the first, at least the first 2 films. I want to say he was.
Yeah, because what did he... I watched a movie recently, and I was looking at the director, and I recognized the director's name, and he, like, directed films.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that.
It was but I was like,
You know, I'm a huge fan. I love that movie. I should know who the actor was that played the Shape in that one. But, oh well.
I don't know. Because I think in that one, didn't they call him like the Black Shadow?
No, it was the Shape.
The Shape. Okay. It was,
Yeah. But, I mean, he's still. That's what his name was in the credits.
Yes.
What was the Shape? But they never actually called him that in the movie. It was always Michael Myers.
Right.
With Donald Pleasance freaking out and all that fun stuff.
Donald Pleasance. The problem with the later Halloweens was they tried to make everyone behave like Donald Pleasance. And he was designed for that.
100%. Like the last 2 ones, yes.
Yes. It's like, you're not him. Like, he was goofy as hell.
Yeah.
But he pulled it off.
Yes.
It was believable. That's who he is.
Well, he was a good actor, and he knew he was in a campy horror film. So.
Yeah. Did he pass before one of them got released? I know he's dead now.
It was 4 or 5. He died.
Yeah.
And he died during the filming of it, if I'm not mistaken. And so, like,
he
just, like, dies off screen, like, very unceremoniously.
Why do I feel like he died during the one with Paul Rudd?
That feels right. That would have been the 5th, I think. That's the curse, I think.
No, that's 6. Because the 5th is where the little girl is, like, mute or whatever.
Really?
Yeah, because 4 is where they introduced the little girl.
Those movies are so...
I only know because we watched 1, 2, 4, and 5 every year for about a decade.
Okay, see, I have not. I watch 1 and 2. I watch 1 at least once a year. Since I was about 20, I've watched that once a year.
Right.
2 I watch every now and again, and 3 I watch every now and again. But all the other ones I've maybe seen twice.
How my mom allowed it, I don't know, but like it was her idea. Like we would turn on AMC during October.
Oh, edited for television.
It was, but
that's not bad.
Nowadays, though, she might watch the first one because the first one is the best because it feels like it was made to be a one film movie at the time.
Yeah. Well, it does and it doesn't. It does leave it open for a sequel.
I mean, it does, but it feels like it's kind of supposed to end that way.
Yeah, it's supposed to leave you uneasy, like the Shape. Like Michael Myers could be anywhere, like because they're doing all these. They do like shots of the staircase, and then they do shots of the outside of the house, and then like another house in the neighborhood, and then like the the Myers family house.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's supposed to be like he could be anywhere, even in your neighborhood, like.
That was one of the first ones where they did the shots from point of view, wasn't it?
It was an early one. I don't think it was I think there was one earlier than that. I think that one's given... I mean, it's definitely groundbreaking. Mm-hmm. Like that and Texas Chainsaw Massacre in terms of... Especially in terms of popularizing it, but I don't think it was the first. Because... I think even John Carpenter did a movie before that. It was a made-for-TV movie called Someone's Watching You.
I've heard of that one.
And it's a really good, like it's a really just solid, I guess the term I've learned recently is yuppie thriller. Like
I've never heard that.
It's like, it's the nightmare of upper-class white people.
Okay.
Where it's like your perfect little life is like turned upside down. Like The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, or Sleeping with the Enemy. Us wouldn't be, because again...
I mean, I know it's a black family, but it kind of feels like that in a way.
Yeah, maybe. I wonder if that's Jordan Peele's take on a yuppie.
I could see him taking
horror
that
film.
and making
Yeah.
it that, but for like black families who are kind of, I mean, whatever racial thing you want to go on there. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Get Out, maybe.
No, Get
Well,
Out.
no, 'cause Get Out
Get
was
Out is
the opposite of
the,
yuppie.
the white family is the yuppie family.
That's true. That's
In
true.
fact,
yeah.
actually, they're a little bit more than yuppie. They are upper. They're upper class.
They're full on elitists.
Yeah. Whereas a yuppie nightmare is usually like the people that maybe were born poor and then kind of pulled themselves out and they're making something of themselves.
Get Out is what happens if January 6th worked. I've seen.
Ooh.
I don't know. Well, you know what I found out is apparently because I don't use Twitter at all, but I still have it.
Yes.
Apparently, if
And
you
we still do call it Twitter. We do not call it anything
No.
else.
I'm not
I
even.
refuse to call it.
I'm not even gonna do what they did with Prince.
I
Where it's like the artist formerly known as. No, I just straight up it's Twitter.
I turned my account off the day it turned to X because I was like, what the hell are you doing? It just makes no sense.
I understand rebranding. Like rebranding is a normal part of business. X makes no sense.
No.
X is what like 7-year-old me would think is cool.
But it does when you understand him.
Yes.
Because that was the company that he tried to start whenever and it got rolled into, what was it, PayPal? Was that his big company where he made all the money, I think?
Well, he
I
made
think
all
it
the
was-
money from his dad initially.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
Emerald Mines.
his big claim to fame,
I feel like
think was PayPal.
Well, but I
him
think
and one other guy.
it was. But I think even with PayPal, he had a minor role.
He did, but he came up with the banking idea, I think.
He did.
And I think that's what X was originally.
You might be right. I think you might be right.
So it kind of rolled into what this other guy was working on, which is more of what PayPal is.
Yeah.
But what his original idea for X is now what it sounds like he wants to turn Twitter into, because he talks about Twitter becoming your one-stop banking source. And
Yeah. He's the guy who wants to be the smartest guy in the room and will not surround himself with people who will say no.
Right, and that's the problem. I think a lot of times he's probably the cleverest guy in the room, but I don't think he's ever the smartest guy.
He's clever because he has moments.
Because he has good ideas.
Yes.
He has interesting ideas, and he does interesting things with them. But
Have you watched some more news's thing on him? It's about 4 hours. It takes a while,
No,
but
then I have not.
it's hilarious, but it's very in depth. Very in depth.
I'm not gonna devote 4 hours to deep diving into him.
I didn't devote 4 hours. I devoted about 8 30-minute intervals.
I didn't even devote a full Joe Rogan episode to him, so I'm not gonna devote.
Well, I can't
still
listen to
have
that. But that's just two
Yeah.
guys circle jerking each other.
It is.
That's all that is.
It is, but it's uninteresting.
It is. Like, there's a
Yeah.
handful of Joe Rogans. Like, I listened to the one with Kurt Angle because I used to love Kurt Angle back in the day. If it's someone who I really am interested in, I'll listen to
For a
it.
second there, I was like, you loved the MTV newscaster guy, and I was like, oh, that's Kurt
Great.
Loder. That's
Like,
Kurt
he-
Loder.
he was
Never
it.
mind.
He was it.
No, I did like Kurt Loder was a really good journalist, though. Yeah, but
No, he is not, yeah. But
for the MTV generation of us,
Yeah.
he was the news.
But if like everyone's apparently convinced that Andrew Tate's going to go on there, and I'm like, that's fine. I couldn't care less.
I wouldn't watch that.
He's not interesting enough to be controversial in my opinion.
He's only controversial because a bunch of 15-year-old boys who don't have true father figures in their life look up to him.
Yeah, he says what insecure boys want to hear.
Yeah. He's
Which apparently makes you a lot of money, I found out.
yeah, well, I mean, and I know he's a controversial figure. I don't necessarily like everything he says, but I think that's the positive thing that Jordan Peterson did
What did he
versus
do?
what
Oh,
like his
with the whole shtick.
what was it, the 12 rules for your life or whatever
Right, yeah.
book that came out with.
Those
That
are all
was-
fine rules.
That was supposed to be, hey, this is for the boys who didn't really have a father growing up. This is the book with the rules that your father should have taught you.
Well, I think
He
Jordan
says
started out good.
he says a lot of like asinine things.
Yes.
But his chick is at least innocent compared to Andrew Tate, who says it's less gay to have sex with a pre-op tranny than with a girl that's a 5 out of a 10.
Which, I mean, I'm not here to judge you, but just, why don't you just have sex with who you want to have sex with, buddy?
Yeah.
How would you just do that? If we're gonna go that route. Well, also, I think Peterson started out well intentioned.
He did.
Not the smartest guy, but I think he started out with good intentions. I don't think Tate had good intentions.
Well, yeah, and what's interesting is I got into him before all of that blew up because our other cousin Joshua
yes,
got me into him.
Yeah.
Because he had a really interesting YouTube series where he was kind of deconstructing the Old Testament, and it was kind of from a bit of an agnostic stance. It wasn't from a believer stance. And Joshua recommended. He's like, I think you would really dig this, Kevin. I think you'd get into it.
I found it interesting because he did it from just like I obviously I didn't agree with everything he said, but he did it from like a purely like literary perspective.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that's interesting.
It was.
That's interesting. And I think at some point he just saw dollar signs and just took off.
He did.
It was before.
Everybody does that. I mean, we'll do it one day. I mean,
of course we are. We're about 2 subscribers away. I'm
38 subscribers. That's all it takes.
I'm gonna go hard in for the Barbie movie as soon as that number 38 comes out.
Hey, I watched it. Not that bad.
I saw that you bought it. I'm gonna watch it. I expect it to be another 9 to 5.
Let's clear that up. I did not buy it.
Okay, you didn't buy it. Excuse me.
The wife.
Okay, fair.
The wife wanted it.
That's fine.
It's the same. It's the same reason why you'll see all 3 50 Shades of Grey movies on there. That was not by my choice at all.
I wasn't gonna bring that up, but here you are.
Now the Medea movie is mine, but
Medea is funny. The movie sucks, but Medea, she is funny. If you made a movie of her for an hour and a half, just her, I'd watch it. 91 minutes, no, but 90, absolutely.
I could take about 80. That's my limit of Medea.
Ah, you are not a man.
No, I'm not.
Do you want to talk about Cobweb or are we gonna talk? I don't care.
I mean, I don't. Not really right now. I don't.
That's fine.
I think it's a little too early.
I will say what I liked about it. I mean, I liked it in general. I thought it was a good story, all that.
Right.
I noticed it had a lot of tropes, but it used them quite well.
Yes.
It didn't feel tropey, I should say. If that makes sense.
Right. Well, I think tropey is. I think people use that term to refer to something that uses tropes poorly.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because tropes are actually really important to storytelling because they're shorthand for us. They allow us to quickly get invested with a story, and we understand what's going on because we have these tropes, these historical references in film and in storytelling that we can apply, and so we can get quicker into the plot and into the characters. So tropes, cliches, these things are actually good things.
I guess the issue is when you use them as a substitute for a story.
Exactly.
Which this film did not do at all.
Or you shorthand a plot illogically to use the tropes because you're an incompetent writer.
Yes.
Or an incompetent director, editor, and you don't know how to actually use them properly.
Or you're just lazy.
A lot of time lazy.
I think for a lot of them, like, they could do it. They just don't.
Well, I like to give filmmakers credit. I think filmmaking is hard.
It is hard.
I think a lot of times the filmmakers are incompetent. I don't think they're lazy.
Okay, maybe lazy is the wrong choice of words.
I think a lot of them don't have anywhere near final cut. I think a lot of producers and a lot of executives get involved in a lot of the final cuts and ruin things.
That's true nowadays. Which I guess is kind of what would worry me about this hypothetical world in which Alfred Hitchcock is making movies today.
Oh, 100%.
Is there would be a lot. He would have, in theory, less control. Now maybe he'd be the kind of figure where it's like no one's going to tell him what to do, and that's it. Maybe.
Yeah, but I don't think to actually get to that point where you're able to do that, you have to become a Christopher Nolan. You have to become a Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Like those guys can step into an exec's office, and they don't even have to step into an exec's office. They can go to a producer who believes in them and just get the funding,
Right.
and have the producer do everything. And
True.
I think it's really kind of interesting because I think for someone like Tarantino, he had Miramax.
Yeah.
And they let him do whatever he wanted, and now Miramax is no more. The
Which
term
is
Miramax,
shocking.
the term Miramax, even when I watch a movie from 10, 15 years, 20, 30 years ago, it has Miramax on it, and I see that logo pop up, I'm like, oh yeah, the Rapists made this movie. Like, I can't help it. I mean, like, that's like the first thought that comes into my mind, right?
Who are you referring to when you say that?
What's the two brothers that ran it? What was the guys?
Oh
my God.
was one of them a rapist?
The casting couch guy.
Oh, Weinstein.
Weinstein. Yes, thank you.
I didn't realize he was with them.
No, that's who Miramax was the Weinstein brothers.
Okay.
That's who they also had the Weinstein Company, but Miramax and the Weinstein that was who was funding everything. They ran it. They ran all these movies.
Gross.
Yeah, and so there's a little bit there. And what movie was I watching? Oh, I was watching a movie called Phantoms.
But Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms.
Word, bitch. Phantom's like a motherfucker. What's up now?
It's from 1998. I rewatched it. I'd watched it years ago because I remember seeing it when I got my wisdom teeth taken out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was high on codeine. And David went to like Blockbuster and rented that and rented the movie Sphere. And so we watched those movies with me just out of my mind on codeine after wisdom tooth surgery. and I remember being really freaked out by the movie. But I watched the movie this time and, Miramax. And then the Weinstein names were all over it. And then who was one of the main actresses was Rose McGowan. And so you're like, oh my God, is this the movie? Like it taints that movie so bad. Like
It does.
Is this the movie that the allegations, or not even allegations anymore? I mean,
the facts.
Yeah, the facts. I mean, is this what all that occurred over? I mean, and like, holy,
It probably did.
is this the movie that did that? And she did other movies. I think she did Jawbreakers. There was other movies I know she did in Miramax.
It sucks too because it's not fair to her.
Oh, it's not fair.
It's
to
not
her
fair
at
to
all.
her to
because
her ability.
because I'm judging her. Well, yeah, and I don't want to say I'm not judging her performance or anything like that.
No, but
what
the
I will
fact
say,
that
I
the
will say
movie
this,
itself.
but I will say this because I am looking at her performance and seeing if you see any cracks, right? Because you are thinking,
Sure.
is this happening behind the scenes, and is she a good enough actress to hide that? But,
I mean, thinking from hindsight, I think she is, but
I think so because I mean, I think most of them are.
yeah, I think for a while, a lot of them probably suppressed it. I would imagine, just buried that deep down.
I mean, from what they talk about it, yeah.
I mean, how else do you cope from day to day life if you don't do that?
I don't know.
Like,
I luckily do not have that experience, and will never know.
indeed.
Yeah,
He's
I mean,
truly a
it's
monster.
horrible to think about it. Yeah, all those guys are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I'm very hesitant. Like, I mean, not even hesitant. I just do not put these guys on a pedestal. Like, even Hitchcock, like, love his work. I have no interest in knowing him as a person, except for how it influences his films.
Yeah, I mean, well, even with him, there's some shady stuff that happened with the birds.
Sure there is.
Everybody always talks about like how he was it Tippi Hedren, is that who was in the birds, how he treated her and stuff like that. So,
Oh, he treated his cast pretty poorly.
yeah.
The Birds was one of them, but he treated several of them very poorly. Very poorly. Of course, he's not alone in that. At that time,
That was probably standard operating
it probably
procedures.
was. I mean, what was it they said about Sean Connery? Give him a little slap.
That's not what they said. That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That is a
That's the
direct
thing that
quote
he
from that
is
man.
okay with you knowing about.
And that was always funny for me. Like when I found out, that he said that, and then was it? It's not. Is it The Spy Who Loved Me? There's one of the Roger Moore ones where he has to hit a woman, and I think what is the woman? It's she was a Bond girl in 2 movies, played 2 different characters. Maud Adams maybe is who he has to smack around, and.
Was it different Bonds?
Yeah, well, no. It was the same. It was both for Roger Moore. She played an Octopussy in The Spy Who Loved Me. That doesn't feel right that I'm saying it out loud, but that's what I'm going to go with. Anyways, there's a scene in one of the movies I think where he smacks her around, if I'm not mistaken, and it feels just so awkward. And you hear about it out of the fact, and like
Right.
Roger Moore was like horrified that he had to do that as a character, and you're like, Sean Connery's character never did that, but he's the person who would do that in real life.
Right.
But Roger Moore actually had to do that on screen and was kind of mortified that he had to do that and kind of hated doing it.
Right.
So,
People sucked back then, didn't they?
people have always sucked. People
They
suck
have.
today. People will continue to suck.
It was a different suck. There's always new suck.
I don't think there's a new suck. I think we're more informed just because of the internet and everything.
Perhaps.
I don't think there's new suck. I think we suck as much as we always have. Actually, I really do think we suck a little bit less than we ever have sucked. I think we're doing a whole lot better as a civilization, and this is me saying this on the potential brink of World War III, as we are as a world. I think we're doing a lot better as a race.
Well, we're also fighting very differently. Like World War III will not be fought.
Well, it's either going to be quick or really, 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 really long.
Let's hope quick, obviously.
No,
But-
let's not. You know what quick means, right?
well, quick could be the threat.
Quick
of that.
means nukes.
The threat of nukes does a lot.
No, the threat of nukes just makes a new Cold War. That's all that happens there.
I'm fine with the Cold War because I don't have to hear about it.
No, I'm fine with the Cold War because we get new. Maybe we'll get a new Le Carre, and we get another Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
There we go.
I rewatched that movie recently.
Did you?
Holy crap! Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is such an amazing film. Oh my gosh!
Who's gonna be the new McCarthy though?
The new McCarthy?
Yeah, McCarthyism. We need more of that.
I think you just need to look at.
Matthew Gates,
Well,
also known as
so
Butthead.
so here's the interesting thing. So what I think will be interesting about McCarthyism, if anything like that ever happens again, is I feel like right now it could come from either side.
Yeah.
Right? Like you could get.
If you're talking about the concept, obviously the specifics about communism would be right wing. But if you're talking about
Right.
just the concept itself,
The concept
yes.
itself, I think could come from anywhere. I think, yeah, the right and the left have lost their mind in a lot of respects. So I think it could come from anywhere. I think, yeah, definitely. It's interesting because, like, definitely communism is the fear. Communism is always the fear of the right wing because of their staunch conservatives. I don't think you're ever going to get past that. But
right. But I mean,
I don't know what I mean, the left is obviously going to be kind of a social justice-y sort of McCarthyism if it ever comes that way. And I know
It is.
and I know that's what people like to say wokeism and cancel culture is, but it's not. That's not McCarthyism.
It's not, and also right wing people use cancel culture just as much, if not more so.
100%.
Maybe more so.
I mean,
They'll do it in the name of justice or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they tried to get James Gunn canceled.
They did for a little bit,
Yeah.
for a couple
No,
of years.
He got removed from Guardians 3. For
Yeah.
a bit, yeah. Luckily, money speaks louder than anything, and so yeah. They were like,
Which is
"Yeah,
more right wing, so that's kind of ironic.
It is really ironic. Well, I mean, you see it all the time from them trying to cancel things. I mean, like
Yeah.
I referenced earlier the whole it'll be woke because it'll ask you to tell you the game will ask you to tell you what your gender is before you
Right.
start, and like the freak out over Starfield, like they were trying to get that game to bomb because it asks you what your gender is. Like, you have to tell it the character, you decide the character's sex, male or female, and then you decide its gender.
Okay.
And they were
losing their minds over that.
oh, there's a very famous like British dude going, I think it's a British gamer. Just
It's not Paul Joseph Watson, is it?
I don't know I don't know the YouTuber's name, but he is
He's a guy from Alex Jones's neck of the woods.
No, I don't think it's that guy. This guy is from the whole Nerdrotica. Or not Nerdrotica. Was that Nerdrotica? I was at erotica on the end of it. Nerdrotic. He's in that whole
Is he one of those like
of characters.
Gamergate guys?
I'm sure he was.
Gotcha. Okay.
Same as the Comic Gates guys.
There was a Comic Gate?
Mhm.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it was a little bit smaller, but it was. And
Gamergate was really stupid.
I'm conflicted on Comicsgate because there were a few okay points that they were trying to make, because comics were trying to diversify both the characters, the writers, and the artists.
Right.
Not a bad thing,
Sure.
but they were trying to do it so hard that they got shitty characters, shitty writers, shitty artists
Well,
involved.
when you're just trying to force it without
yeah.
doing it, like look at someone like Miles Morales. There's an entire backstory. There's so much depth there. He's a great character.
Yeah.
Wonderful. But when you just
that's interesting because you have a skilled writer like Brian Michael Bendis who's able to make that happen, whereas like Ms. Marvel with G. Willow Wilson, and she's not even that bad of a writer. I wouldn't even say she's not like a go-to for me, but she doesn't necessarily suck. Like it is interesting like how it just doesn't work out as much, or even like whoever created Ironheart. I don't even know who created Ironheart. It just doesn't work as well for me. And that actually could have been. That may have been while Bendis was on Iron Man, is when he created Ironheart. It just doesn't stick as well though in that scenario.
well, it's like you don't you don't take Peter Parker and just color him differently. That doesn't work.
No,
Because that's one really just insulting to everybody.
yeah,
And you're basically telling the groups, the communities that you're supposedly advocating for, we're not going to put in the effort of making you characters. Here you go.
which I think that's what Marvel tried to do, was to not do that. Right? They
Yes.
tried hard to find already established characters. Okay, well, let's bring Black Panther back to the forefront. Let's bring these other characters back to the forefront. But
I don't even mind something like making. I mean, granted, there's already backstory for this, but making the Falcon the new Captain America.
No,
Because-
actually I didn't mind that. And that was actually an okay story for me.
But
I actually kind of like that.
In general, with heroes, some new hero
and I'll
coming
say
along.
even in the comics, I kind of liked. I think I've said this before. I liked the Jane whatever her name was as Thor. the Mighty Thor.
That's what I've heard.
Female Thor.
Yeah.
Like that was a really good comic arc.
I've heard
I really like
wonderful
that.
things about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, in general, like one hero going off and then someone taking his place as that same hero, that happens all the time.
Oh, 100%.
All the time.
Yeah.
There's plenty of room there. Write them off. I don't care. Just don't be lazy about it.
Yeah. Well, now if I was reading some comic the other day. It was a Fantastic Four comic, and it had it was Valeria. I can't remember her freaking name. It's Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm's daughter.
Yeah.
And who she's a super genius. She's as smart as her dad. It had Moon Girl, who hangs out with Devil Dinosaur. She's got her own cartoon on Cartoon Network.
I've seen that. Ads for it, not the actual
And
show.
she's one of the smartest people on the earth. And then you had Ironheart, who is also one of the smartest people on the earth. And like, why are they creating all these new characters and they all have to be like the smartest
characters on Earth. Is it?
Like Peter Parker was just a super genius. He was
very smart.
He wasn't anywhere near the smartest person. You don't have to make him like, oh, there's
several
the
villains.
Sarvis.
Right. Several villains were way smarter than he was.
Yeah.
A lot of them were.
I mean, just some of his. Like Octopus is smarter than he is.
Yeah.
They proved that in the Suspiria. Well, it's getting late, guys. Suspiria Spider-Man. Whatever. Suspiria. I can't even say the word. Oh.
Superior?
Superior. Thank you. Oh my god.
I wasn't sure what you were trying to say. I was confused. Well, it sounds like at least Comic-Gate had some depth to it. Gamergate was some depth.
It had some depth. I'm
Some
not
depth.
going to give it too much credit.
Some depth.
There was some depth, yes.
Gamergate was essentially a handful of journalists made some comments about just typical tropes, like, Mario's always saving the princess, stuff like that. Not a big deal that happens. Also, not a big deal that they're complaining about it. Like, who cares? And it wasn't a big deal. And if these incels just kept their mouths shut, no one would have heard about it, and we would have just moved on with lives. But they decided to lose their freaking minds. It was the kind of thing where it's like, you're making me side with them, right? You're making me side with the person who thinks Mario is a raging misogynist. And then I went and listened to a few of the other videos they did, and I'm like, you got some points here. I don't agree with you here, but I see what you're doing. Like, there was nothing about it was hardcore woke. It was very left wing, but it wasn't hardcore woke. It wasn't anything like that. But they were unleashed. And then these grifters saw dollar signs, so they made their accounts where they were riling them up and talking about how this is how the fall of Western civilization starts and all this crap. One of them was, have you ever heard of Sargon of Akkad or whatever his name is?
Yes.
He was big into that. Him and one of the main females, women, I don't want to say female because that's what incels say, one of the main women doing various critiques, they were getting into it. She hated him. He loved getting under her skin. She hated him.
I remember I liked Sargon of Akkad until he did this like really deep introspective on what the hell is that movie called? It's why can't I think of the name? It's where the Marines of the future fight bugs.
Super Troopers.
Not Super Troopers. Super Troopers is the cops one.
Wait, no, what the heck?
You're right.
It's tired for me too.
You're right there. You're
Base Troopers?
No.
It's something Troopers.
It is something Troopers.
Okay, I'm gonna give this. Oh look, there's Andrew Tate's baby. Space Troopers. Not truckers.
No, it's not Space Truckers.
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers.
That's what it is.
That's it. He did a video on that, and so I've read the book, and the book is actually it's an interesting piece of bordering on propaganda. Basically, basically arguing for the Israeli way of life, where in order to actually be a citizen and to have a vote and all that stuff, you need to actually do some form of public service. Not an entirely outmoded thing,
Right.
but obviously Paul Verhoeven was not for that, and so he made a movie directly antagonistic to that.
Right.
And Sargon of Akkad made his video where he was he's definitely had never done any sort of true film criticism at the time, and you could tell like he was trying to criticize and explain the film based on what happened in the book,
Right.
not based on what was actually happening on the screen at the moment.
Which is
And you can't do that. And,
No.
because the director has a different vision than the author, and you know, I mean, like even something like The Exorcist, which is the script was written by the novelist. You can't say that it's exact. You know, you can't compare apples to apples and say that they both had the same ideas and the same missions or whatever, with the same goals. So
Well, that's one of the biggest critiques of people who read the books that movies are made of, is that they critique it based on the book. It's like the reality is these are two different forms of media. Like, I really like you mentioned, Ready Player One. I really liked the book. That book could not be made into a movie.
No.
Just in its entirety. Definitely not into one movie. If you made maybe 3, maybe, but even then, it just
the
and it's-
licenses and everything, but a lot of it was just
Well, that
so-
too, but I mean,
Yeah.
even just the content itself, like that's gonna, like I don't even know how to, like that's just gonna be so hard. I don't know how you do it, and if you do, I don't think Spielberg's the one to do it.
Yeah.
That'll be for Hitchcock's comeback.
Hitchcock coming back. Ready Player 2. He's going to do the sequel. You'll see.
I think they made that book.
They did. Yeah.
I didn't read it.
Why wouldn't he? Like it's a cash grab. Why wouldn't he? I did read his other book. What was the name of that book? It was basically
Artemis?
No,
Was Artemis was somebody in that same
No,
genre at the same time?
Artemis is by the guy that wrote
The Martian.
The Martian. Yes.
Okay.
Because he also wrote Project Hail Mary, which
Yes.
I loved. Project Hail
You're
Mary. That was a
right.
great book. And that's a book that I'm like, I really hope they never make it into movie, because I don't think they would be able to.
A lot
actually
of
make it
books you've
justice.
got to accept they're gonna be different, and sometimes they're done well, despite being different.
Right. Hey, Jurassic Park.
Yes.
I didn't see any pterodactyls in that movie in the first one, and that was my favorite part in the book.
Were there none in the first one? I don't
No,
know.
they
I don't
were in
remember.
the second or third one is where the pterodactyls showed up.
The first 2 blend together for me,
Yeah.
and then I think it's like midway
No,
through.
see the second and third one to me blend together.
Really?
I can't tell those apart. Yeah.
Where is Chris Pratt in the first one? He's there, right?
Sure.
He's there in Sphere.
He's the little kid that's obsessed
kid.
with dinosaurs.
I guess that would work then. At that point, he
That's
would
what
have
they
been.
should have done. I mean, if you really want to make a prequel, you make Chris Pratt's character be the kid from the first movie. But I don't know why they never did that.
Were the new ones prequels?
I mean, the new sequels. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I was because like I only saw the first one with Chris Pratt. I didn't see the other 2.
That one's fine.
I liked it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
But it was the kind of thing where I went into it thinking, oh, this is gonna be enjoyable. I'm gonna have fun.
Yeah.
And I did.
The other ones are not.
That's what I've heard.
Nope.
That's what I've heard.
Nope.
It is what it is, though. But yeah,
They
Gamergate,
aren't
stupid.
bad. They're just super mediocre. I'll put it that way.
Well, I mean, they were designed to be cash grabs. So.
Right. Yeah. What do you?
But yeah, Gamergate helped feminism. That's what you could take from this video.
And that's really the worst thing.
I wish I didn't laugh because the way you just deliver that just so dryly and plainly was wonderful.
I can edit it before you laugh. Yeah.
You do. That's really the worst part. They yeah. It was just another way for people to grift online. Which was entirely by the guys freaking out over the women, because I've looked into the women who were really involved in that, and none of them have gigantic money-making careers. They were just saying how they genuinely felt. They were putting their thoughts out there, and people lost their freaking minds.
That's rage bait, man. I mean, that's the problem with all of it. Like, I've had people be like, "Hey, why don't you review the new Gollum game?" Have you not watched a single video we've done? And also, that's just rage bait, man. Like,
It is rage bait.
no, I mean, we're not going to just specifically and on purpose talk about something that sucks unless we do an introspective review on Uwe Boll. Like, we're not going to do that.
And even then, that's like 10 years too late anyways to profit. I think I mention them so much because I just find them hilarious and also very intelligent. The guys from Red Letter Media, they mentioned they were making a joke and they passively said like, "Oh, we went and paid money for pixels so you could see our over the top reaction." Like they were mocking guys who did that.
Right.
But I mean that's the kind of thing that people do.
Oh, was it the show where it was like the three of them as like as corporate stooges pretending to be the podcast?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's like a 20-second clip online where it was something for like the new Star Wars or new Marvel film where they just start clapping and they just start losing their minds for whatever it is.
No, that was their review of Rogue One.
Was it Rogue One?
Yes.
And they're just like, "You did it, Disney! You hit it out of the park!" They're just losing their minds. Those are
TIE fighters. Yeah. No, I remember seeing that and being like, I kind of like this movie, guys. Like, I didn't.
I
Really
love Rogue One.
I didn't really
I
hate
love
it.
Rogue
but,
One. I really loved it. I
But
think
there-
Rogue One was probably one of the best ones to come out after in the new wave, whatever you.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're categorized.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was better than Han Solo,
No,
in my humble opinion.
we have better lighting right now than Han Solo had. So
That's
yeah.